Hello, our lesson this week is inspired by a Japanese artist by the last name of Hokusai. He's really the most famous painter and woodcutter in Japan. And here's an example of this piece is called The Great Wave off Kanagawa. It was made in 1830. And it is ink on paper. And I had the pleasure of seeing this in real life up at the Art Institute of Chicago. So we are going to capture the power and majesty of these big waves. We're not going to put a boat in there like he did, but we are going to capture some of the landscape of the mountains of Japan. All right, so for this lesson, we need the paper that I gave you with a simple drawing. I went ahead and worked out these lines for you because it's a little tricky drawing these waves. So I thought I'd give you a boost. So what I want you to do is to gather your supplies. We should have a black oil pastel. We should have watercolor set, a bowl of water, a couple of paintbrushes, piece of paper toweling, and then white acrylic paint. Now, I ran out of white acrylic paint, and because the weather's been so uncooperative, I hadn't been able to get into town to get some, so I'm going to use a silver paint. Okay, but you should have white paint for yours, or you can use silver if you want, but that's just to give the look of the spray of the water, and that will be our last step. Okay, so I want you to take some time and go over the lines that I have drawn for you with your black pastel. Now, I have, as always, I have done mine in black Sharpie, and you can do that too, but the black pastel will give it a little softer look, but I want to make sure you can see my work as we create this, okay? So if you need to pause the video to do that step of, then we will continue on and do a little bit of drawing on the waves. Okay, so if we go back to the original, you'll see that he created spaces here with different, and then used different colors of blue. So that's what we're going to do. And we're just going to draw, I have to put this in, draw curved lines inside the waves, kind of following the curve of this first line. And then we're just going to, don't make these too skinny. And then we're just going to follow that around. And do this with your black pastel. Okay, so we've got the biggest wave. And now we're going to do similar with our smaller waves. Keep them curved so it looks like they're crashing on top of the next wave. All right, so now we have that, those lines are helping us look like everything's in motion. Okay, now we will start painting. And we're going to paint the under part of the wave first. So we're going to do our lines first. Now notice we're going to keep the top white, but we're going to put some lighter blue on the top of the waves. So I'll get everything situated over here. And we can use a medium paintbrush, get it. All right, and I'm going to use this. Your paint set will probably have a few more colors of blue. You can decide what you want on that. I want a little more pigment in there. And it's okay if you paint on top of your, if you get some paint on top of your oil pastels, because remember the wax in the oil pastels will resist the water and they'll show through anyway. Okay, so since I only have two colors, I'm going to do every other color, every other line, excuse me, this light blue. Okay, I like how this is looking already. You need more water, go back in, pick up some more water and some more pigment so that we can keep these colors nice and vibrant. And we'll just keep painting all the way to the back of this wave. If you need to pick up a smaller brush, go right ahead. And we're going to do the same thing with our smaller wave. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go back in with our darker blue and do the alternating stripes. Try to get that blue a little bit darker. There we go. This one's a little trickier to paint because it's still has skinny lines right up there. Okay, so we've got that wave done. And now we move on to this smaller one. Oops. Whoops. Okay, so now I'm going to look at my other set of watercolors. It's great to have so many watercolor sets around, isn't it? And I'm going to introduce another color. Now yours has quite a few choices here. I'm going to paint this lower wave. Now, what you can do is you can go back over it and make it darker in places. I kind of like how it has a little bit of texture over here, except where my thumbprint was. Okay. And then I'm going to take a lighter blue with a little more water, and I'm just going to lightly, that's a little too much water. I'm just going to lightly put some blue on the top of the waves. We want it mostly to be white, but just a little bit of blue. When I was little, we would go up to Lake Michigan as a family for a week vacation, and I loved to watch the waves. And they, on some days, they would have the white caps, right, on top of them. Now, mind you, I was little. And I called them hubcaps instead of white caps. My family teased me quite a bit about that. So there'll always be hubcaps to me. Okay, again, we want mostly white on there. Okay, now we're going to turn this baby upside down so that we can work on this part without getting our hands and arms in that part. And I'm going to use a different color of blue for this part of the ocean that's a little calmer. It's further away. That looks kind of like the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some of that together and some purple together to see what that looks like. I like that better. And then we can go back in and there we go. And add a little more purple if we want. A little more water. There we go. Again, I like to put some texture on there. Okay, then we want to do the same thing on this side. And since we're mixing paint up, mixing the colors, we'll just need to make sure to clean our watercolor set after we get done. So the next time we use it, we won't have the same purple blue popping up. Okay, so we're done with the water. Now, we don't want to do our sky, okay, in blues too, because that's not going to be a very interesting thing, is it? It's going to be just blue with some lines. So we want to do something a little different with that. So let's go into like the golds and the browns, okay? Maybe even a little touch of orange down here, just to make a nice contrast between the land and sky and the water. So make sure you've got a nice clean brush. And we'll start with the mountain. And we'll make it brown with snow on it. Okay. So I'm going to do the top part, just kind of a random kind of line here. I guess I want to capture the mood of the sun. And then I'm going to do a little darker as we move down. There we go. There's the color that I want. And kind of have those two different colors blend when they meet. Oops. Almost went for the wrong color there. And then you can come in with just a hint of orange right at the horizon line. Kind of blend it up. Add a little more water so you can blend. And then we'll do some of the same thing over here. Now we've used a lot of water. on this project, so you can see that the paper's starting to wrinkle, so you're going to have to put this under some weighted books or something. And then if you want to, you can kind of smooth that out while it's wet with your paper toweling. It's another way of blending some things. Okay. Got a little piece of paper there or something. All right. I like how that looks like it's receding down to the horizon line. That looks okay. So now what we're going to do is find our paint. And I can use this little lid here. And we're going to do our splattering. Now, if you recall, we've done some splattering before, and the trick is to make sure that it's wet, right? So we had some water, and then we're going to hit, 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 hit. Just to add a little bit of spray. Plus, it's fun to do. I don't like that right there, so you can kind of fix it up. Don't want to overdo it, but we just want to give a little bit of a hint of spray. All right, and now we're done. So like I said, let this dry really well, and then put it under some heavy books or box or something, and then the paper will flatten out for you. Anyway, nice work, everyone.